Hi, I'm Michael Burke, and I am Executive Director of Pathways to Hope for Children in Redding, California. There's no coincidence why we have our name, Pathways to Hope for Children. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But I'm with a co host for a new show we're calling Pathways of Hope.
Hi, this is Chan Hellman, and I'm a professor at the University of Oklahoma and director of the Hope Research Center.
And Chan is the leading hope theorist in the country. He's doing hope research around all different areas, including children, adults. And really, I think in this time of COVID-19, we need hope. So Chan and I were talking the other day and got this idea that how can we get the message out that hope is measurable, hope is meaningful, hope actually, the word itself has a lot of substance to it, but not a lot of people understand what the substance is. So Chan, do you want to understand a little bit about what hope is?
Sure. So, hope is the belief that the future will be better than today, and more importantly, that you have the power to make it so. So, this idea of hope, the belief that the future will be better, is really grounded in the goals that we set every day or every month or even longer term. The critical aspect of being a hopeful person is whether or not you have the ability to identify pathways to achieve those goals and can really marshal and sustain the motivation to pursue those pathways. So, hope is the belief that the future will be better and that you have the power to make it so. Means that hope is about action. It's about taking action to achieve your goals.
Do you think right now that so many people being quarantined at home, so many people working out in the public because they have to, not because they want to, this is a scary time for our nation? And how can we keep hope alive during this time?
Sure, and I think the first thing that we probably need to highlight is that being in a time of uncertainty, it's a very natural and normal human response to have fear and anxiety. It's just a natural human response. The difficulty really is if we get wrapped up in that fear, we tend to um, respond in an emotion-based framework. And when we're responding to our environment from an emotion framework, that fear can lead to despair. And it's important to remember that hope is an actionable thing, and we can start really turning around the emotion-based response to a real problem-based or solution-focused response. That is really the essence of hope.
And do you see when you watch the news, I mean, you're the lead hope theorist in the country. You know how to foster hope. You know how to teach hope. You've taught me so much about hope since 2012 or 13 when we first met over Camp Hope America. But are there times in your life when you're watching the news and you're seeing what's going on right now that you lose hope?
I don't lose hope in this time. I do find myself getting anxious because of really the uncertainty. But the thing that I come back to is that in this time, we have to remember that as a country, as a community, we've gotten through hard times before, and I'm reminded that we have such tremendous leaders in our communities, such tremendous scientists and public health officials who are working this problem. We all have pathways that are known to be part of the solution, like social distancing and social isolation when that needs to take place. So what I try to do, Mike, is I try to bring things down to maybe a little bit shorter perspective, like what are my goals for today? Um, and what are the pathways to achieving those goals? What can I do today? What can I do this hour? What can I do this minute? And it's when I start focusing on those pathways that I realize that the future will in fact be better. We will get through this. We've gotten through hard times before. It doesn't mean that it won't be scary and uncertain, um, but we are a hopeful race.
We are definitely, and you always hear that America perseveres, that the world has to persevere through
That's right.
this. But you really talked about some important things there. I think setting those small term goals, setting a goal for the next minute, the next hour. When you're with your kids and you're confined in this space, sometimes it's getting through that moment. Maybe it's grabbing a coloring book and say, let's just color for the next 10 minutes. You're in control. You get to pick the colors and you get to pick the pages and you go and do this. So can you talk a little bit more about, there's three principles to hope theory, as you mentioned. There's goals, agency, and pathway. And can you break those each down? This is the first segment. Chan and I plan to do this until we don't have anything left to say, which could be a while knowing the two of us. But we thought a couple of times a week we'd post a 10-minute or so podcast to try to help reach out to people to give hope, to show that hope's achievable during this rough time. So the three main pillars are goals, agency, and pathway. Can you talk a little bit about each of those?
Sure. So, with regards to goal setting, we tend to set goals in one of two areas, either achievement oriented goals. These are things that we want to pursue, things that we want to achieve in our life, like perhaps get a college degree or um, to attain a particular job. The other type of goal is an avoidance type framework, and that is these are goals of things that I don't want to occur, like I don't want to get a ticket. And in this time, I think that one of our goals is certainly to not get sick or to protect ourselves in that framework. But we have to remember that in all of the domains in our life, we set goals. So goals with my children, goals with my work, goals with my leisure. And, so when we get kind of caught up in that fear, we can start focusing on those domains. Now, the pathways thinking is really the mental roadmaps or the strategies that we have to pursue those goals. And I like to think about pathways from a framework that we call stepping. And stepping, once we begin the journey of a pathway, steps become those sort of short term benchmarks that we can achieve as we lead towards our goal. And then finally, the agency is really, it is the motivational piece. It is the mental energy that we have to pursue our pathways. The thing to remember with agency is that it's finite. We only have so much mental energy to give every day. And so it's especially important now to take care of yourself, to take some time out, to think about some exercise, but more importantly, nutrition becomes a very important part of our willpower and our mental energy.
So that's a really important part too, because we hear a lot about the social distancing, which you get to be with people in your house, but we all know that we love the people in our house, but sometimes that space is small and you need to get outside, and it's okay to walk around outside, but you just have to keep your 6 foot distance. So can you help us set a couple of goals? We're in our final minute and a half for our first segment. Can you help set some goals or share with you some goals that are attainable that people can do?
Sure. So let's just think about what we're hoping to achieve today. And so today, I want to set the goal of getting outside and walking for about 30 minutes. So at a certain point in the day today, I'm gonna just stop whatever I'm doing, go put on my tennis shoes, and walk out the door for 30 minutes. This is something that I do have control over in my life personally. And so that's the type of goal that you probably need to set for the short term. What can you control today?
I think that's great. And like you said, you're in control of that goal. Maybe that goal is getting out of bed for some people. Maybe that goal is making a healthy meal or going to the store and making sure you're social distancing, whatever that goal is, it's really important that it's achievable. Don't set a goal that's pie in the sky, as you were saying, and make sure it's something you can do maybe within the next hour or the next 5 hours. So we're wrapping up our first segment. I'm Michael Burke in Redding, California, and
Chan Hellman in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Chan is the leading hope theorist in the nation, and our goal is to just bring hope to a time really where our nation's in despair. And on the next segment, it's gonna be Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month. April is that month, and we're gonna talk a little bit about what you can do with your children and how to bring hope to your family. So thank you very much, Chan. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Mike.